So why don't we go ahead and start? Go ahead, Tiffany.
All right. Hello and welcome to Rogue Voice, conversations that inspire and connect. I'm Tiffany Cooper.
I'm Jessica Gomez. We have a little bit of an unprecedented situation. The last 48 hours here in the Rogue Valley have been absolutely crazy. We have fires everywhere. We have Talent and Phoenix have been all but decimated. So we wanted to do a special show for you to talk to some folks about their experience and also talk about what resources are available. Tiffany, I know you've heard of people who have lost their homes and everything that's happening right now.
Oh, absolutely, Jessica. It's been just heartbreaking. I had a friend, a dear friend that lived in Talent that said that her and her family, they were very hopeful. They got out safe and sound. The car was packed and they really believed that their home would be there. And it was not. It burned to the ground. I mean, completely burned. They lost everything. Their attitude is just, they're so positive, saying, there's so many people that lost more than us. And, they're still pouring their heart out to give to others, even when they lost their home, which I think is just a testament to their character. But we have three very special guests joining us here today to talk about their experience during the evacuation and to discuss what community resources are available for those who need assistance. So joining us today, we have Helen Funk, Director of Jackson Country Expo, Thaddeus Gala, evacuated from Talent on Tuesday, and we have Cynthia Martinez, a Talent resident. Welcome all to the show. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Those who know, this is actually my mom. And so I got the call when they started to evacuate, which was really scary. Thaddeus, I wanted to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing in Talent at the time of the fire, and when did you realize that this is going to be a big problem?
Yeah, if you want, I'm happy to share a video. I have a little bit of footage, but I got a call about a fire in Ashland, and I was heading that way to help some friends and out at the Billings Ranch. And when I started getting closer, the freeway was backed up, and everything was backed up. And I got a call from my brother who lives in Talent, or I messaged him. I said, "Hey, what's going on? Where are you at?" And I realized that you could see a lot of smoke. I think this was right when it was just starting, maybe an hour after it started, and everything backed up. And so I took basically the exit that I could, went up to his house in Talent, helped him load up some of his things in his truck, and helped him start to evacuate. And then as we got ready to leave, we realized that we were actually in a pretty good position because of the way the wind was blowing up the valley. We realized that going back into the valley may not be the worst or the best idea, and that the worst of it was going to continue down the valley, and that we may have actually be in the best, one of the safest spots. And so we stayed there, and we actually ended up in a tremendous vantage point to oversee and watch the fire for several hours as we were contacting friends and family, seeing how they were doing, making sure everyone was okay, watching airdrops, air support, and watching the fire into the night. And so many people kept commenting and watching and saying how helpful it was to have that bird's eye view of where things were and how things were progressing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I watching that was really helpful. I know I kept getting pictures from Mom. Cindy, tell us, you live in Talent, right on Talent Avenue.
Yes.
What was that morning like? What were you doing at the time? And when did you realize that you might have to evacuate?
Well, the night before, it was like haunting winds all night, kept me up. And it felt like a hurricane, literally. It felt like a winding hurricane approaching. And I ignored it and worked on the phone as I usually do. I woke up, went outside after I worked with a client, went outside to my front yard, and my tree was nearly tipped to the ground from the wind.
Whoa.
And I videotaped, and I thought to myself, my goodness, this is not normal for this type of year. What is going on? I called Jessica and I asked her, my daughter, I said, do you have these kind of winds? And she goes, not really. And I thought that was so strange. Then I took a couple of more phone calls. And what occurred to me was we had helicopters going by. We had airplanes going by. And the fire alarm in my house started beeping. And I thought, oh gosh, the battery's low again. How annoying. I'm on a call. This is not okay. So I ignored it and ignored it and ignored it. And my daughter called. I ignored it. And then I looked out my window and I saw billowing black smoke right where my daughter's new house, less than a month old, bought. And I frantically called her, there's something wrong. And she goes, oh my gosh, Mom, we've been trying to get a hold of you. You need to get out up there. And I said, oh my gosh, I lent my son the car. I have no way out. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's when I got the phone call. And of course, that's the scariest call to get. And I'm like, I'm on my way. And she's like, don't worry, I'm gonna walk. And somehow you ended up at the top of the hill with Thaddeus. How did you guys end up together?
Yeah.
Derek came and got me, Sarah's partner.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Thaddeus, how did you guys end up together from your perspective?
Candidly, I don't even remember who was up there or who was there, but we ended up on the irrigation canal. I was so focused on trying to video and answer comments and just trying to do that. I wasn't even really aware of who was around or what was going on.
Wow.
But people just kind of kept showing up and passing through the back way to Ashland. So it just kind of seemed to be a natural, path that people were taking to get from one area to another.
Can you show us some of that video? I mean, I think you have it,
Yes.
right?
Sure, let's see here. So this is, can you guys see that okay there?
Yeah.
This is the view. So I have kind of about a minute or so of video that goes all the way through from here, the fire all the way to the relief efforts to try to provide some hope and inspiration. So this was the fire the night of, and you can see all the way down into Talent and even into Phoenix, and then obviously Medford is obscured. That was the last picture before leaving. So that was some mobile home parks. This was me driving through, a car blowing up, another building, obviously extremely, completely consumed and involved. Driving through, that was the north end of Talent. This was the next day in Talent. This was walking around a mobile home park, so you can see the devastation of that fire and what it did. So this was actually walking through. You can see some of the red there. That was some of the fire retardant. This is a set of townhomes. So these are all of the front, the garage doors looking into all the townhomes. And again, you can see that the fire retardant, where they were trying to draw a line, completely inundated area. Again, this is another area. I think this might be in Phoenix. I think this is a mobile home park here that completely got destroyed. And then here was today, actually, some people getting together, sending some resources out. I went over to the expo. They were sharing some resources, some guides over there. That was Mark over there, who's a great help. And then over at the New Life Church of Nazarene, where they have a lot of resources over there, blankets, food, toys. So it wasn't just all doom and gloom. It was great to see people coming together and sharing all this information and people coming together. So that's the short overview that I put together, the last couple of videos that I've done.
That's great, Thaddeus. Thank you for that. I mean, that's just to have that visual is so important. I want to shift gears and ask you, Helen, how are you and your family doing? And did you end up having to evacuate your home?
Actually, I was pretty blessed so far. We just moved into that house in April.
Whoa.
And as we heard that Barnett closed, I kind of figured it would head up the Roxanne area, but it didn't so far. So far, so good. But we thought that we would probably go to level 3 the other night. So we called the better half and the dog to the expo and kissed it goodbye and closed the door because, stuff is stuff and there's nothing much more I can do to it.
Yeah, it's just so harrowing. I mean, just thinking that, everybody is in this together and the fact that, life changes on the dime. I want to ask you, as the director of Jackson County Expo, you manage one of our largest community spaces. When did you receive the first call alerting that you were there going to be or need community shelter?
Well, that's funny because I dressed to come to work on a tractor on Tuesday. And just as I was putting the key into the tractor, it must have been probably about 7:15 in the morning. I think was about the first call that I got. Hey, there might be something coming down today. And then at 9:45, I think was the next one that Red Cross was needing to set up a drive-through location for people to come through and get vouchers to be able to be sent to hotels. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. And then unfortunately the vouchers never came, and the expo became the full-fledged evacuation center. Not only, normally we do large animals, that's what we do here. But very quickly we learned that we were going to be setting up cots and becoming a relocation evacuation location. So people can come here. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What you were saying?
So normally people come and we take in large animals, and then we try to rehouse them or foster them pretty quick through the Southern Oregon Aid Group online. But this time we had the opportunity to work with the animal control group because they had to close the animal shelter. So I have an animal shelter here. I have large animals here.
Yeah, I had a friend that had
all of their owners are here. So we get to do a little bit of everything. It all came together very quickly. And fortunately, it's not really our first rodeo. We plan a fair every year and things never go as planned.
Well, that's so interesting you say that. I had a friend that was trying to bring his goat from his farm. Yep. He had a hard time. His cart broke down, so he had to bring them two at a time, which was really, really hard. Why do you think the vouchers didn't come? I mean, I know you had to plan for plan B, but.
You know, I didn't get an answer. I don't know that these volunteers here ever got an answer as to what might have happened. I think everything happened so fast that whoever is normally administratively behind the volunteers that have boots on the ground, that team was spread so thin between so many counties that they never set up hotel vouchers that day to be able to give them out. I mean, it happened so quick.
I know.
So that's the only thing I can figure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all of our emergency response folks and everybody's trying to coordinate. I know you all are going on a couple hours of sleep along with the rest of us who've had a couple of sleepless nights. Thaddeus, do you have any personal friends that have lost any homes or businesses?
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that, and it seems to keep popping up, that have lost homes or I don't know anyone that personally that's lost a business, but I've been hearing, and there's so much information coming through. So I have had a couple people that have lost homes out there, and a lot of people don't know. My understanding, even as of so we were able to drive through. What was it? Gosh, I think it was yesterday. Kind of seems like a blur. I think it was yesterday. We drove through and did a pretty long video all the way. We tried to get through Talent as best we could, and even to Phoenix. So if you want, people can go on there. It's a long video, but it starts from basically the north of Ashland, and it goes all the way through Talent to Phoenix, and then back from Phoenix to Talent. So if people want, they can find that video from yesterday morning, and they can kind of fast forward, scroll the bar to find an area. We might have covered your area, so if you need to know about your stuff. But my understanding was, even as of today, my brother tried to go into Talent, and he lives there, and they wouldn't let him in, and the police officer said, don't even come back and try to get in. I did get a message from someone else saying that they do need water delivery. If it's okay, I'd love to share that information, but the people are trying to get water in Talent. My contact out there is Hannah at rogueclimate.org. They need 5-gallon home delivery containers. They need stationary reservoirs. They need mobile tanks for water, for potable water. They said, please do not enter Talent without first coordinating with the ground relief efforts coordinators. And one of the person that coordinates you would be Hannah, HANNAH at rogueclimate.org if you have water relief. But people are told to not go into their homes because I guess they don't have portable water. A lot of them don't have power, but a lot of people are trying to stay in their homes. They're in Talent. So yeah, a lot of people don't even know if they've lost their homes yet because they can't get in.
And so that's another question I would have. So what are people supposed to do? Wait? I mean, if you don't have a friend that had stayed in Talent or was lucky enough to be in their home, how long are you supposed to wait, and how do you find out that information? I mean,
I think that's a great question. I don't know if maybe Helen, if you have more information on that, but I think right now, my understanding is it's kind of wait and see, unfortunately, from a lot of the first responders, because my understanding is there's a lot of hot spots still that if the wind picks up, that you could have hot spots that could send a spark into an area that hasn't burned yet. And then maybe, especially if the winds change over the next couple of days, then you have maybe this fire then takes off up into the mountains to the west and goes over into the Applegate and Williams area, and then it's back into the hills, and now it's another huge mess. So my understanding is when we drove, and when we drove through, you could see a lot of firefighters working on hot spots, specifically watering it down, wetting things down. So I think when the firefighters kind of say, hey, it's safe to come in, then that's when people can come through. But yeah, we saw one family, a lady, it was so sad. They were trying to go through the rubble and the ashes, because this one lady, it was so sad. She was looking for a heart that was essentially the urn of, it sounded like her baby that died, and the ashes of her baby were in this heart. And so she was crying, and it looked like maybe her partner or a family member was trying to lift through. We gave him some gloves. We were trying to go through as best we could. But it's so sad. I mean, there they were trying to find, some memorabilia, but because people had to get out so fast, they couldn't even grab the littlest tiniest of things.
It's been crazy. I've heard so many stories. I talked to a friend of mine who happens to be a first responder. He's a police officer, and was working in Phoenix yesterday, and the level of devastation there and the families that are left homeless is just unimaginable. Cindy, I want to talk to you. How are you processing some of this? Because I remember looking, there was video across the street from where you live, and you could see the bicycle, the motorcycle across the street from her condo, and it was a wall of flame, and so that area is just completely destroyed. How are you managing to work through this right now?
What you're battling is smoke trauma. You can't think. Your body is so filled. Your lungs are so hurtful from breathing in all that smoke, trying to get away from it. So your thinking is foggy. So you're kind of like in shock, and you're scrambling and you're repeating yourself. And it takes tremendous focus to be able to really be in a state of awareness that you're thinking straight. Did you get your retainer? Did you call your mom? It's been 2 days, and I just spoke to my mother today, and wow. She's 84, and she was in shock because she hadn't heard. And I didn't even think, I was so busy. I hadn't slept in 2 days because the howling wind kept me up, then the smoke inhalation from the following day. And today's the first day I was even able to take a shower.
I just think that I think the trauma is going to be ongoing for a while. I mean, this is traumatic. This is not a one-time. This is traumatic on emotional, physical, and we're just, it's hard to grapple, and everyone does it differently. We've talked about the experiences, but I want to shift, Helen, and talk about the resources, because people watching need to know where they can go and how they can help. So as someone directly involved with relief efforts, could you speak about the immediate resources available to the impacted members of the community?
Yeah, Helen, would you be able to comment on that?
Yeah, Helen.
Absolutely. So when you arrive here at the expo, you're greeted at our gate. Some folks are just pulling in and checking in and getting things like pillows, blankets, sleeping bags, towels, and basic hygiene supplies, because they left all that behind. Then they're choosing, either they're staying here. If they stay here, they can stay in their car, they can stay in a cot in a building, or they can actually camp out. And believe it or not, people are camping out in all sorts of places on the expo grounds. While they're here, we try to talk to them about every half an hour or hour, and tell them what we are learning about the fire, where it is, what's going on, just giving them a consistent voice all throughout the day. There are resources that are being set up outside of these donations. So today we actually got some vouchers from Goodwill, because Goodwill, people have been donating things at the expo. Since we are not a COVID approved program site to be able to resupply or redistribute those clothes and things that are coming in, we linked with Goodwill, and Goodwill then turned and gave us the vouchers. So while they took all the big stuff away today, except for what we needed for essentials, these folks are now being given vouchers to go out and go shopping.
Oh, that's
Goodwill
great.
also notified me that their As Is store over there on Jackson is actually free to those who are being affected by the fire. So you can just go in, let them know that you've been affected by the fire, and you can outfit and get what you need.
I know there are a lot of different groups, and even in Ashland too, they've got OSF has set up a whole spot in one of the theaters so they can get free supplies.
Perfect. So then we're also feeding everyone here. We have ongoing food service through our Mace building. Tomorrow, the Salvation Army will actually take that over, but we've been doing that here as an expo team with some volunteers. So they've been getting fresh food, fruit, vegetables, all that kind of stuff here. And then starting probably tomorrow, we'll actually have the resource center set up. A lot of these folks have insurance, that homeowners or renters insurance that will cover them to go get a hotel room, a rental car, maybe possibly even pick up a few items as long as they have the receipts and stuff. So we're helping to connect them with their insurance and to DMV to get new IDs if they lost their wallets. So all that stuff's getting set up, kind of tonight, tomorrow, as we can get all the little clickies in place.
That's great that you're doing that and being such a resource. So I want to ask you, you touched on insurance. I mean, so say you're one of the people who are there, you've lost your home. After losing a home or business to this kind of natural disaster, what priorities should people focus on besides notifying their insurance company? Like, what are the 1, 2, 3s? Because you're still in shock, but you've got business.
You are still in shock, but I think some of the first things that you should do is notify your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance. Then your utilities need to know that you're actually displaced. You're not at home. You don't know what's going on. You can usually do that through a contact form on the internet. Just do a contact us and just send them a note. You don't have to wait on the phone to tell them. And if they need you, they know how to find you because you just leave them an email address or something. So that way they know what's going on with you personally. The other, probably my first important before anything, is get out on Facebook, tap out and let everybody know that you're safe. Check in and let everyone know you're here, you're safe, and this is how to get in touch with me. So those are, I would say, the most important things before you even know whether or not you're going to get to go home or if you have a home on the other side.
Thank you.
So it sounds like Thaddeus, you've been pretty active. Helen, for people who want to help and want to contribute and get out there and volunteer, what do you suggest that people do? I think there's a lot of coordination that is trying to sort of come together right now, and I think we as a community don't want to make things more difficult for all of you. And so, what would you suggest people do if they want to help?
Well, as far as the expo goes, coming out to the expo, coming in gate 2, those same greeters, if you're here to volunteer, they'll ask you just go ahead and park your car and come to our check-in area in front of the Mace building. At the Mace building, we kind of it's a one-stop shop. It's where I stand and talk to folks, and we will reorient them to wherever volunteer efforts are needed at that moment. Some of them aren't glorious, but honestly, everybody understands that, hey, if you just could walk around with bottles of water and talk to people and make sure that they're drinking water, because when you're in a state of shock like this, you don't even remember to eat. You don't remember to drink water. You don't remember that it's 100 degrees and it's smoky outside. You're not taking care of you because you're too busy spinning in your own head, right? I mean, you're trying to close the story and you can't. And so...
Well, Helen, I want to ask you, we have a viewer question that I definitely want to get in. We've got 2. So Thaddeus or Helen, or one of you guys can answer this. Is Suncrest retirement in talent gone or not? This is a repeated question, so I want to make sure I get to it.
I'm going to tee that up for him because he took a tour and I haven't gotten to leave the expo.
So I know that partially it's gone.
It partially is gone?
From what I understand, it's right across from where I live, and that whole thing got wiped out. Some of the houses did make it. One of the things that have come up is that many people's tires exploded from the heat, so they had no transportation. And that is also an issue. If you have a whole block where all the tires are blown out, they have no way out.
Well, we have one more question that I'd like to get to from our audience. And the question is it possible to get these resources emailed out? I work at the VA and we're looking for as many resources as we can find. Helen?
Helen, maybe you have that information. I also have some information about that. There's a couple of websites. I think that people have up. Helen, is it?
So I missed the question. I'm sorry. Somebody stole my keys.
Oh no. Okay, so is it possible to get these resources? Oh, you there? Okay. Is it possible to get these resources emailed out? I work at the VA and we're looking for as many resources as we can find. That was a viewer question.
Absolutely. And I'd love to know the key person at the VA. That's a person I don't know in terms of, we've got vets here. I did have one leave this morning, went over to the VA, got a walker and came back. And you made that man happier than you could ever imagine. So if I could trade that with that VA person, that would be great. But I'm glad to give you guys any of the resources that we've got.
Great. And we can also post on our Rogue Voice page as well. And we'll upload a link as well. So we'll also provide that for those.
There's also a website called roguevalleyrecovers.org. It's roguevalley.recovers.org. And so you can go there, register if you need help or if you want to volunteer. All the Goodwill, as Helen mentioned, is they are coordinating all of the distribution for blankets. I was told that people need cell phone chargers, right? They don't have any of the equipment they just ran out the door with. So if you have chargers or cords, any kind of phones, it doesn't matter. Even if they're old, bring them to a Goodwill somewhere and they will help to coordinate those. And then also too, if you've lost everything and you need the help of the Red Cross, go and register over at Helen's place at the Expo. And we'll make sure we post those.
And also the United Way of Jackson County.
Yeah.
I just donated to them. So they also will distribute funds and where it's needed. So there's many places now, which is great that you can contribute to.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time. I wish we could, talk longer about this event and get more information out there, but we'll upload links. And I want to thank you, Thaddeus, Cindy, for sharing your story with us. And thank you, Helen, for all that you're doing to support our community in the time of crisis. We could not do it with you and
happy to do it.
Community. So remember to tune in to Rogue Voice Online every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and connect with us on our YouTube channel and Facebook, where you can send us a message or leave a comment. We want to hear from you. So tune in, stay safe, and thank you. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stay safe.